Hello everyone, welcome back once again. In this video, we will look at desktop UI programming using Xaml or Xaml. But before we get started, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do because I've got loads of videos coming up. So what is Xaml or Xaml? Xaml is a declarative markup language as applied to the .NET programming model. Xaml simplifies creating a UI for .NET application and cross-platform application using the Xamarin Forms. You can create a visible UI element in a declarative XAML markup and then separate the UI definition from the runtime logic by using code behind files that are joined to the markup through a partial class definitions. So XAML directly represent the instantiation of objects in a specific set of backing types defined in assemblies. This is unlike most other markup languages, which are typically an interpreted language without such a direct tie to the backing type system. XAML enables a workflow where separate parties can work on the UI and the logic of an application using potentially different tools. So we will get started by creating a very simple application where you can use the XAML or XAML language to program the UI, which is mostly typically Windows Presentation Foundation WPF. So we will use the WPF as an example just to show how you can use the XAML to program the UI. So to get started, I have a Visual Studio 2019 opened, and with that I've already got the startup page open as well. So we go ahead by creating a new project. So to get started, XAML or XAML, when represented as a text, XAML files are XML files that generally have the XAML extension. The files can be encoded by any XML encoding, but encoding as UTF-8 is typical. So we're going to create a C# WPF application, and it's under the .NET Core. So as you can see on the screen here, I've got a desktop selected. I've got other options like all languages and all platforms. So once you have a Windows desktop application installed, then you'll be able to start with the WPF application. So here we start by clicking on WPF and the next. So here we've got a new project configuration. So this is where you can give your project a name or change the default name and set the location for the project and then the solution name. Or you can actually put it under any specified solution. So we're just gonna leave this bit as it is here and go to the create. So now, as you can see, we have the new project created and we've got all the necessary dependencies being loaded. But before we get into the code, before I start showing you everything, I'll speak briefly about XAML object elements or XAML object elements. So an object element typically declares an instance of a type. So that type is defined in the assemblies referenced by the technology that uses the XAML as a language. So let's get into the code bit. So as you can see, it's still loading. So we've got this error being showed, but just give you a moment. So now let's get to it. So we look at inside the code here. So as you can see, it looks pretty much like XML. So the object element syntax always starts with an opening angle bracket here. So we look at this bit here, the grid here. So so that is followed by the type, which is a grid. So we're looking at the grid here. So the grid actually covers the whole window. So this is the window, and if you look inside this bit here, it's actually named the main window dot xaml. So this is the xaml extension. And if we look at it here, once we drill it down, we've also got a partial it's a partial class. So we have main window dot xaml dot cs. So this is the code behind. So this mostly handles the logic part of this XAML file. So in the case, I will explain this bit how you can actually use this code behind. So as we see here, the grid now it covers all the window here. So if we can find that bit out by using one of its properties or attributes. Yeah, so as you can see, once you go forward here, the IntelliSense shows some of the properties that you can use inside the grid. So what are the properties? So what are the properties of the attribute syntax? The properties of an object can often be expressed as attributes of the object's elements. The attribute syntax names the object property that is being set. So in this case here, we can set an attribute of the grid like a background, which is then followed by the equal to, and then is inside a quotation. So we can put blue. We can name this bit blue here. So as you can see here, we've got, since the grid is covering all the window, it's actually changed the color. The color is changed into blue. Okay, so you can have a child or children for this grid element here. So you also do that by actually putting it inside the open and close of the type. But if you don't have any children, you can close this type by actually putting a forward slash here. In this case, as you can see, the closing bit of this grid has been removed. So in this case, we try to put a child of the grid. So we're going to close it by grid this bit here, forward slash, and then the closed. So here, this is how you actually close it. And now we can actually put a child by opening an angle bracket, and we're going to put a button. So here we close this bit here. So for this button here, we use this forward slash so that we're not going to put any child element inside the button. So we're going to put some attributes as well. So here we're going to put the background. We make the background red, and we're going to set some element, some side. The width attribute. We're going to make the width like 300. We set the height as well. We're going to make the height 100. So as you can see here, we've got it is in the middle of the grid. Then we can put it some content. So we can say this is button. Yeah, so this is, and then we can also put a foreground. So this will be the color of the test. So we're going to make it white. And we can even put the font size as well. So this can be represented in numbers. So as you can see, the font has become larger. So this is how you actually start, you start programming in the Xaml, yeah? And then there's one more thing that I would like to show you. So right now, as you can see here, we've got this button here. So once you actually click on this button here, we look at this bit here. This actually shows the property elements of this button. And then here on this bit here, handlers. This part is the event handlers for the selected elements. So since we've actually selected this button, will be the event handler for the button. And here there's a lot of events that you can actually handle on this element here, like the button click. So once you double click on this bit here, it would actually take you, it will create this event handler for the button clicked. So this is inside the code behind this code here, main window.xaml.cs, and this is what is opened. So once that event is clicked, we can say, so when the button is clicked, you just want to display a very simple pop-up message here. So this is just to show how you can actually handle the event from the UI. So we can say message box dot show. So we can say button clicked at UTC now. So we just convert it to time. We just convert it to like full time. So this will actually display the full time of when it's actually clicked. So we're just gonna run it just to see what actually comes out of it here. So in this case, yeah, once the button is clicked, we're expecting this to be displayed in a pop-up box. So we can F5 or click on this start bit here just to run it. So now we've got this running here now. So as you can see, we have got the button here. This is the button. So once clicked, yes, so the button clicked at blah blah blah. So this is the time shown. So this, as you can see, we've got the button clicked event being handled, right? So this is how you can get started with this XAML programming. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna leave it here. So from here, obviously, you can start and play with it. You can look at also Microsoft documentation on Xaml, just for more attributes and more elements that you can work with. Yeah. So I hope this helps you get started with this bit here. And once again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do. And have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Peace.